you ever wondered why someone felt perfect in the beginning, only to become unrecognizable later? We're about to find out. At first glance, it looks like change. It isn't. Not distant, not overwhelmed by life, not changed by circumstances, but fundamentally different. Most people reach for a familiar explanation. They say people change. They say the honeymoon phase ends. They say attraction fades. They say they ignored the red flags. But what if none of that is true? What if nothing actually changed at all? What if the person you met was never the person you were with? That question is uncomfortable, and it sits at the center of dark psychology and relationships, because emotional manipulation, narcissistic behavior, and toxic dating patterns rarely begin with abuse. They begin with precision. The first thing you fall in love with is not a person. It is a mask. The mask is not confidence. It is not charm, and it is not authenticity. It is a psychological construct designed to secure trust before truth is required. This is why the beginning feels unreal when you look back. Too aligned, too attentive, too emotionally fluent, too perfect to be coincidence. Your nervous system registers safety. Your mind registers familiarity. And familiarity is powerful, because the human brain is wired to trust what feels known, not what is healthy. In dark psychology, this process is called impression management, the deliberate shaping of perception to influence outcomes. Instead of revealing who they are, the mask presents who you need. Your values are mirrored back to you. Your humor is matched. Your wounds are gently validated. Your fears are acknowledged without challenge, not accidentally, strategically. This creates the first conflict. Your intuition senses intensity, but your logic sees no threat. There is no cruelty, no volatility, no obvious danger, so you move closer. That tension between intuition and explanation is where the mask thrives, because the mask removes friction, and friction is how reality reveals itself. When friction is absent, discernment weakens. This is why the connection feels intoxicating. Not because it is healthy, but because it is efficient. Dark psychology does not rely on force. It relies on resonance. When someone learns how to stimulate unmet needs without resistance, attachment forms faster than logic can intervene. This is why manipulation in dating does not feel like manipulation. It feels like chemistry. It feels like destiny. It feels like finally being seen. For many people, it feels like relief. Relief from loneliness. Relief from self-doubt. Relief from past disappointment. And relief is addictive. But a mask cannot be worn indefinitely. The longer it is worn, the more pressure builds underneath it. That pressure is not visible at first. It leaks out in small ways, subtle irritations, momentary withdrawal, a change in tone, a shift in patience. At first you explain it away. Everyone has bad days. Everyone gets street acid. Everyone pulls back sometimes, but the inconsistencies continue. Presence becomes conditional. Warmth becomes unpredictable. Affection begins to feel earned instead of given. You feel confused, and that confusion is not accidental. Confusion is stabilizing. It keeps you emotionally anchored to the earlier version, the version you bonded with, the version you are still chasing. This is where most people lose themselves, because instead of questioning the mask, they question themselves. They replay conversations late at night. They wonder if they said the wrong thing. They analyze tone and timing. They adjust their behavior. They assume they asked for too much, moved too fast, misread something. This belief protects the system. If you believe the failure was yours, the mask remains invisible, and the pattern survives. This is one of the most damaging effects of dark psychology in relationships. It trains people to doubt their perception instead of questioning the structure. This is why these dynamics repeat across relationships, not because people are weak, but because the system redirects suspicion inward. This architecture is not exclusive to narcissists. It appears in womanizers, manipulators, emotionally avoidant partners, people who rely on control instead of connection, different personalities, same system. The mask secures access. The real self maintains control. Once you see this structure, the power shifts. You stop asking why it felt so real. You understand that it was real effort, just not real identity. This does not mean the connection was fake. It means it was manufactured. And that distinction matters, because manufactured connection collapses under pressure. Authentic connection adapts. If this is starting to make sense, pause for a moment. Like this video so it reaches others who are still blaming themselves. And stay with me, because this is only the first layer. The mask is where everything begins. Before attachment, before trauma bonds, before emotional control. If you can recognize the mask early, the rest of the system loses its leverage. This is not about blaming individuals. It is about understanding patterns. Because once patterns are named, they lose power. If this unlocked something you have struggled to explain, comment one word that describes what this brought up for you. Subscribe if you want the next file. File 002 breaks down how the hook forms and why attachment happens faster than logic can stop it. This is not advice. It is intelligence. Welcome to Red Order Intel.